Vitae. Vita. The life of Pliny the Elder. Secundae. Pliny Secunda. Pliny the Elder. Okay. Novo Comisus. This is the name of the place he's from. Novum Comum. Okay. Equestribus militis industri functus. Functus is past passive, means he performed this duty of a military duty, equestribus, which he had to perform from this equestrian order of Rome, and he did it with industry, so with energy, you could say, or diligently. Procurationes quoque also. This is administrative duty of the procurator. Splendidissimus. Splendidissimus. This is the you have comparatives, and then you have the longer form, which is in most. Forgetting the word for it right now. It's whatever you call it, and continuous summa integratae administrated. So he administrated also these procurations. Gee, I'm having a bad day today. Procuratorships most splendidly and continuously. So he had them in a row with a summa integrity. These are ablatives with utmost integrity. A superlative, that's what that's called. Et tamen, and nevertheless, liberalibus studies. These are liberal studies, plural ablatives. He gave such work, such operam, such studies, such attentiveness to these liberal studies. Ut non temere. Temere by itself is an adverb which means rashly, but when it comes with non, means hardly ever. So that there was not hardly quiz anyone who scripture it had written plura more in leisure time than him. Okay, get my stuff together. Itaque, nice way to start a sentence. And so accordingly, bellum is a neuter, so we've got a plural. And so all wars, we'll take this as the nominative, quae, which, unquam ever, with Germanus, with Germany, gesta sunt. And so, accordingly, all the wars which had ever taken place with the Germans, XX, 20 voluminibus, that's 20 volumes, we'll put that in ablative plural, so it's in 20 volumes, comprehend it. So he comprehensively wrote about these wars, if you want to say that. Itemque, and likewise, of natural history, naturalis historia, 37 libros absolvit. Absolvit's just the way of saying this is how many he completed, basically. Perit clade Campania. Campania is a proper noun, so he died in the ablative, in the disaster of Campania. Cum enim. For when we've got a place name, missensi, classi, praeset. So this is a pluperfect. So when he had been in charge of the fleet at, we'll take that as a locative, at this place, Missenum, and flagrante, that's a ablative singular present participle, Vesubio. So with Vesuvius burning, this is the eruption of the famous volcano. So he was in charge of this fleet. Vesuvius was erupting. Ad explorandas. This is you can tell from the NDAS construction at the end that this is a gerundive. So per tendis, that's the verb here. So tendo just means stretching out or intentions. His intentions were ad explorandus, to explore, proprius, closer, that's a comparative. The causes, basically, of exploring this. Liburnica. This is a galley or a fast-moving ship. They actually came from a place called Liburnia. Nec adversantibus ventus. Okay, so this is ablative plural. So with adverse winds, he was not posset, he not able, remio, to get back. So we went in closer to explore what was happening here on a ship, but because of the adverse winds he couldn't get back. V pulverus ac faviliae. This is ablative. So by force, we've got pulverus as the dust, and flavilla, these are like sparks or lively burning ashes, oppressus es. So he was overcome by the force of the dust, and then see these are genitives, and of these little sparks. Vel again can be adverb or preposition. I'd say it's the preposition meaning or here. So or, ut, as, quidem, certain people, estimant, think. So or certain people think, a servo, by a slave, it's a male slave. Suo, which is his own, okisos, this is a past passive. So there are certain people who think that he might have been killed by his own slave. Quem, this would be referring to Pliny again, whom, present participle nominative, who is becoming deficient aestu, in the heat, that's a fourth declension. So when he was, he couldn't get back because of the wind, he was overcome with the dust and the sparks, and the heat was really overcoming. Ut necem sibi maturet ora verat. So when he was overcome by the heat, he was begging that maturet, so it do it hastily as quickly as possible, it would come to a mature death, basically, necem sibi for himself, and that's how he died. And we'll do a daily dictionary. Liburnica, in the top 10,000 words, area war, military, naval ships, armour. Liberian galley, a light, fast-sailing warship. Okay, so now we'll go on to Crispus, who is a life de poetis. It's another one of these. He's considered a poet, the same as Pliny the Elder was de poetis, considered as a poet as well. So Passienus Crispus, Municeps, which means it's a Latin town. So this is the town is Vicellensis, Vicellium. You can look that up. Tyro Cineo Suo. The raw recruits or someone's when they're a newbie is called a tyro. In Senatu, in the Senate. Thus ita cope. So he began as a new recruit, basically as his first speech, basically gave in the Senate. Patres conscriptae, or sometimes abbreviated the PC. These are the senators. Et tu nu Caesar, Kaiser. Things like Cicero and Caesar, though has a hard C. Propter quod, on account of which we'll take it as simulata oratione plenissime a Tiberio conlaudatus est. On account of which speech he was conlauded, he was praised by Tiberius, very fully plenissime. But this is simulated, so basically it was a pretense. So Tiberius praised him, but it was feigned, basically. Plurimus sponte causes apud centum viros eget. Eget just means he conducted. So there was many causes amongst the centum viros. This is a panel of 100 men. Centum and viros. Sponte, this of his own will. He volunteered, basically. Pro quare, on behalf of which, in Basilica Julia, eos statua, his statue, posited, was set up. So because of these many causes that he pleaded for, he got his own statue set up. Consulatus duos gessit. He conducted 2 consulships. Nice short sentence. Uxors habwit duas. Habwit's the perfect. So he had duas uxors, 2 wives. Not at the same time. Primam Domitia. So first it was Domitia. Deinde. One of the most common forms of next was Agrippina. Ilam, the former, was the aunt, and then Hank, and then the other one was the matrim, the mother of Nero Caesar, or Neronus Caesaris. Possessed it, bismile sestertium. This is where you need to know a bit about the currency of Rome. But he possessed an estate which was worth 200 million sesterces. Omnium principum. We've got genitive here. Gratiam as influence or favour, ad pedivit. So seeking favour with all of the princeps, all of the princes, all of the emperors. Sed praecipui. That's an adverb. So, but especially Gaius Caesar, quam whom ita facientem. That's an accusative present participle. So he secundus est, which means he followed or accompanied, probably accompanied. He accompanied him on his ita, on his journey, facientem, when he was making a journey, ita's a neuter, and pedibus, and this was on foot. Hic, he, nullo audiente, so with no one listening, by Nero interrogatus, past passive. So when there was no one listening, he was asked by Nero, habet ne, ne's the enclitic, which goes at the end, which means it's a question. Do you have, sicut ipsi, just as himself, cum sororo, with his sister, Germana's another blood relative. These are both ablative, so it's the same apposition there. Consuetudinem, which is, does he habitually conduct himself with his sister, same as he do, which meant, does he have sex with his sister as Nero does? Non dum inquit, not yet, he said. Quantum vis, as much as you like, so not yet, he said, however much you like. A decenter and corte, which is adverbs for decently or fittingly and cautiously. Nay, so that not, ought either. Negando, which is a gerund. By a denial, he would argue him, which means he would accuse him. So, by denying this, he wasn't accusing Nero. Or ad sentio, by an agreement, semet with himself, dehonestaret, did he disgrace or dishonour himself, mendico, with a lie basically. So he was pretty cunning. He said not yet, didn't deny it or didn't agree to it, and he didn't accuse Nero in the same act or have to lie himself. Per it, he died. Per always takes the accusative, it's a preposition. Fraudem, it's accusative, so he died through the fraud. Genitive of Agrippina, who was one of his wives. Whom reliquerat, whom he had left as an heir, heredem, as his heir. Et funerare, and in his funeral, it's an ablative. Publico, and so we'll say in his public funeral, Ilatus, he was honoured or praised.